Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and I'm inviting you to join my Nakshatras course. What are the Nakshatras? Well, they're the wonderful and beautiful lunar zodiac of Vedic astrology. There's 27 lunar signs. They're very powerful, beautiful, and ancient. They are tremendous guidance as to our consciousness, our mind. If you haven't studied the Nakshatras, you'll just be amazed to find out what they offer. Now, my Nakshatra course is in two parts. So part one is 27 webinars, a webinar for each of the Nakshatras, and a little sort of handbook for each, about 30 pages. And part two is another series of webinars, plus a handbook for each. And part two covers the powerful interpretation techniques using the Nakshatras, such as Navtara, Nadi Nakshatras, using Nakshatras for prediction and for health astrology. It's amazing the insight they offer. For example, looking at Nadi Nakshatras, why are some people such crowning blessing to you? Why do some people mean money to you? Why are some people death and destruction? How do you identify them? Okay, what are the qualities of my Nakshatra course? Well, you receive your Vedic and Western charts and my charts. And every piece of work you do and all my webinars are geared to my charts and your charts. And this means that our work is grounded and authentic. It's not a sort of legalistic rant of clever interpretation. It's genuine. We make sure it's genuine. I never do a reading without crossover of both Vedic and Western astrology. And if you want that, I cover that in this course. There's a worldwide student group that you can share learning with. Very skillful and aware people. Now, several are studying my level 1 foundation course and this level 2 Nakshatra course at the same time. And that's quite a good way to proceed. The two don't conflict at all. They obviously complement each other. And another wonderful feature of my courses in particular is that they are authentic, they are grounded, and we use sophisticated learning techniques, for example, artwork. How does that work? Well, say we're working with a particular astrological aspect or a nakshatra. You can draw how you feel that is manifesting in your life. And it's so illuminating to actually see it drawn concretely. We only spend 5 minutes or whatever on the sketch. So, when we're doing a webinar where we all break off and we draw like the sun in our birth chart or whatever. And then if there are problems and things that need healing, we can then draw how we'd like it to be. And that's a wonderful image of a goal. We also do embodiment. And it's so good to embody, for example, in this case, a nakshatra, to embody it in its problems and to embody it in its healed and enlightened state. And indeed, the course, like all my courses, can link to healing modalities. There's a powerful list that my partner Maggie Pashley can integrate in if needed. So what does your study of each nakshatra include? Well, first of all, we look at the myth. And the myth is transcendent. The myth is unforgettable. The myth accurately states the issues of the nakshatras. The nakshatras aren't some idealistic, unreal perfection. They're sort of warts and all. They're genuine. We start off with like a particular personality, a particular state of consciousness. It's so helpful to have it itemized and described. And we can go on to perfect that state of consciousness, those behavior patterns. In other words, there's a very powerful novelistic dimension to the nakshatras, and some authors are better at it than others. And during the webinars, I read out snatches, and you really get an impression of what that person will be like if they have moon in Ashwini, for example, or moon in Chitra, or moon in Revati. We also look at the analytical characteristics to more deeply understand each nakshatra. So, of course, we study its size, the number of degrees it covers. We study the zodiacs that are relevant. For example, there's not just the lunar zodiac. There's also the sidereal zodiac of Vedic astrology and the tropical zodiac of Western astrology. They all depict different things. They all have their value. Perhaps I'll say a bit more later on. We look at the planetary ruler of the nakshatra. That so sets the tone for the state of consciousness, the energy. We look at how the nakshatra relates to the gunas, the three gunas of rajas, tamas, and sattva, desire, materiality, and spirituality. Where is the emphasis of each nakshatra? We look at the doshas, vata, pitta, and kapha. It's so helpful to know which you have a predominance in, how to handle that. We look at the four aims of life: dharma, righteousness and moral values; artha, right livelihood, prosperity, and economic values; kama, desire; and moksha, liberation, spiritual values. Each of the nakshatras relates to one of the five elements: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. Each of the nakshatras has a gender or a sex, male or female, and each a power animal. So, for example, the first nakshatra, Ashwini, is the stallion. The final nakshatra, Revati, is the female elephant. And using the gender and the power animal, there's a wonderful nakshatra analysis of relationship, of marriage. It is so powerful. And of course, we study that in part 2 of the Nakshatras course. Each nakshatra has a symbol that's so useful. There's a ruling deity. For example, my sun is in Chitra, and the ruling deity is Vishvakarma, the heavenly architect. I was born to create something beautiful and special. And there's a love profile. Oh, and there's, a statement of which planets are exalted or fallen in each nakshatra, and indeed in each of the 4 quarters or padas of each nakshatra. That's very useful to know, very useful indeed, to understand how your planets will manifest in your life. The course is certificated. Okay, what are the methods of study? Well, you receive the webinar to download, and you receive the information sheets or handbook for each module. There's a webinar for each module, a little handbook for each module. You receive Vedic and Western astrology charts for yourself and myself. And the little handbook for each module contains assignments, and you complete the work, send it to me for my caring and helpful evaluation and for sharing with the other students. Now, Just to say, there's a few more assignments to the early nakshatras on the list. And that is because I tuck in studies of the nakshatra characteristics as we go through the first few nakshatras. I could split them off and do them as an introduction, but I feel that would not be grounded. It would also be rather boring. It could be legalistic. It could be disempowering. So because you study a characteristic or two with each of the first few nakshatras until you've studied all the characteristics, then it's grounded, it's real. That's my aim. So you have to expect a few more assignments for the first few nakshatras, but it's worth it. And it's so much better to do it that way, believe me. So if you look at the assignments for Module 1, Ashwini Nakshatra, for example, well, first of all, I ask you, assignment 1, to describe Ashwini. Secondly, most important, tell your own story of the Ashwini myth. It's so revealing. And then give your own deep meaning of that myth in your own words. That way you really connect with it. What does this very, very ancient myth really mean? Just very briefly, the myth is that the sun god Surya had his wife Sajna, and she found him too much. He was so blazing, he was so powerful, he was so full on, and so she panicked. She fled to the forests of earth. Disguising herself as a mare, a female horse, and she played a subterfuge. She put her sister Chaya, or Shadow, in her place. He didn't notice at first because he was a very busy star, but when he did, he turned into a stallion. He pursued her around the solar system, found her on Earth, pursued her, and they reconciled and made love in a beautiful meadow. And from their love, the twin healers, the Ashwini Kumaras, were born. And that says so much about the energy and behavior of Ashwini people. If you have major planets in Ashwini, what can go wrong and what can go right if you heal? You become a healer of others. As I said earlier, we look at the 3 zodiacs. So there's the tropical zodiac of Western astrology, which is all about our egoic psychological self and very necessary. It's psychological because it's sun sign based. Its start is wherever the sun is on the first day of spring, which moves against the background of the stars. And then there's the sidereal zodiac of Vedic astrology, which depicts our incarnational life purpose, of which our psychology is just a part. And that is connected to the Atma, our special spark of the divine. And then there's the lunar zodiac, the 27 nakshatras that we're studying in this course. And they form the lunar mandala, and they reflect our jiva atma, our living soul, our consciousness, our mind. It can indicate both intuition and blocks, and the way I teach the course, how to heal and empower those blocks. Assignment 4, okay, you tuck in the first couple of nakshatra characteristics, the important gunas, rajas, tamas, and sattva. So Ashwini is rajas, 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 desire, desire, desire. And then there's the padas. Each nakshatra is divided into 4 quarters or padas. And for example, we find out what the ruling sign and planet is. So it makes a difference which pada your planet falls in if you have an Ashwini planet. And we learn what aims of life each pada is attuned to, and how a planet does in the different padas. And then we do creative artwork and embodiment, which I've already described as assignment 5. And so for 5A, you draw the energy of Ashwini, maybe as a personification, only a quick sketch. And then you may wish to draw its perfection. And embodiment work, you stand up and embody the energy of Ashwini. It's amazing how powerful it is to do embodiment work. And then you can, secondly, embody healed and exalted Ashwini. And you, like every other assignment, send me a little report to say how you got on, for me to comment and assist you, and to share with the other students. Assignment 6, do any of us have, you or me have planets in Ashwini? And so you interpret the meaning and the manifestation of these planets in each of our lives. So I have Rahu in Ashwini, which is quite, it makes me very driven to succeed. Indeed, it's in my 10th house of career, to find value that way. But of course, that's not how you find real value. And you have to be careful to balance being driven to succeed in career with other important things in your life. So, you look at any planet you or I have in Ashwini, or whichever nakshatra you're studying. So, the website is www.nakshatrasadvancedcourse.com. Go to the website and enroll. Alternatively, you can buy the webinars individually, but of course you don't get the tuition, you don't get the handbooks. So it's much cheaper and a much more wonderful experience of spiritual learning and empowerment to do the course. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing about my course, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.